Hello, friends, and welcome to the channel. I'm Handington, and today I'm gonna be drawing some art for a friend. It's an OC. So, my friend, Paragon Lolo, she has a whole bunch of characters for different projects that she works on. This is an image from Twitter that she had posted. So this is a whole little cast of characters. Sometimes she goes through and redesigns the characters and such, but these are the characters as of the moment, and I decided I wanted to draw one of them, especially because I thought it was cool, and I got it back into a drawing mood, so I just kind of felt like it, and two, she's been feeling kind of down lately, so hopefully this will help cheer her up. So I decided to draw this character here, Princess Parfait, because she looks like a little birthday cake or a cupcake, and she has little sprinkles. Her dress, it's a little hard to tell from this image of an image, but the way that her hair is colored, it looks like it has dripping frosting on it, as well as the way her dress is designed, and it's a little hard to tell, but her nails are different colors. They're supposed to look like sprinkles, and all across her face, and her arms and legs and dress and everything, all of a bunch of little sprinkles on them. And she also has a thing where I think that as the candles go out, she starts to get more upset, and then when they fully go out, then she enters, like, rage mode. So here, hold on, let me show you. Okay, I have the bigger image of her over here, so we can zoom in. So now you can see the little sprinkles. Now this is obviously done in very good digital art. I just do traditional. You can actually see the different layers and the flames over here. There's a lot of extra cool little details to this when you zoom in. So, oh, and I didn't even notice this before. There were little extra lines on the floof of the dress. So yeah, there's a lot of nice little details here, and it's very cute. So I reimagined the character slightly taller in my own version of drawing it, just my own interpretation. But over here, this is the other image. Here's what happens when her candles go out. She's having a happy time, and they go out, and then she enters demon mode. This is kind of what made me decide, yeah, I want to draw her. I thought that was very funny. So, as usual, I sketched out the drawing ahead of time. It just makes it a lot easier. And what I did this time, as opposed to what I usually do, is I also inked in everything with my Sharpie pen. So we're gonna skip that step and go straight to the coloring, which the coloring will be interesting in this because usually I tend to like drawing things that are mostly either a solid color and separated by dark lines, and a lot of these have subtle colors without strong borders to show the difference. Things like this, the lighter colored sprinkles here, from a distance, unless you zoom in, it's a little harder to see. There's a yellow one right here, and then there's a blue one right here. It's really nice, especially when you have everything digital and you can zoom in and everything, but from a distance, like over here with my drawing, I have a lot of dark lines instead. So you can see the little lines are pink as an outline here, and it's really nice. She's a very, very light color palette. It's supposed to, like, complement what her design is supposed to be. Am I making sense? Like, she's supposed to be very light and pleasant, so her whole design is based around light colors, very pastel and everything, which is also why you wouldn't expect, when the candles go out, sort of like it's like a Charmander, but instead of a Charmander dying when the tail fire goes out, she just enters demon mode. And the candles just infinitely burn. They're a part of her head, and they transformed into horns, I believe. Yeah, they become her horns. So when the horns are lit on fire, they're just little cute birthday candles. And she's in happy mode. It's great. I love it. So she's a bit more chibi here. And in this version, I drew her a little bit taller just because when I was drawing, this is just kind of how it came out. So I decided, you know what, I kind of like it. So she has her arms a little, like, leaning out to the side, like she's happy, like, yay, something like this, I guess. And I have her paw here now. In the actual image, she has a thumb. There is thumb. I did not draw thumb. I drew full paw. and she has like a little rose as a stamp in the middle. I just redrew that as a tiny little circle because this is just a very simplified version of the character. But yeah, it was fun. So I'm gonna try and experiment a little bit, so I won't make like darker lines in between for the candle to show the little stripes. So I'm just going to use the colors instead. I don't usually do as much shading, and typically when I shade, I have a color, and then I use my mechanical pencil to make it darker. I know technically you should be using a different color that's just a little bit darker. That's usually a bit better. I think there was a good video that Ginger Pale, not Ginger Brave, there's a YouTuber named Ginger Pale who had done videos talking about colors and everything, and that's a good video to help explain some more color theory and stuff. I don't remember what it was called. It was probably just called colors. So if you have like a lighter color blue, instead of just taking the lighter color blue and then darkening it, you should use a slightly darker shade of blue, and that essentially creates the shading, or at least that's how he does it. There's no rules in terms of artwork. You can do however you feel, so that's how I feel, so that's what I do. But I don't always do that with my drawings anyway, because I usually do these a little bit faster, and it's just kind of nice to just have solid colors sometimes. So rather than using the different colors of pink as outlines, so you can see here, another really cool thing is that the outline for the dress is a very light blue to differentiate, and this is a dark blue, and here it's a slightly darker pink than on the inside, and then this is an even darker pink. There's a whole bunch of different layers, and this is really good for value, color value as well. Like if you made this grayscale, you wouldn't want this to be a lighter color because then it would blend into the dress, unless you wanted it to all look like it was one thing, like this part of the dress being fused to this section of the dress. So this is fine to have a very lighter line, have them be very lighter values, but when you darken the image, it shows that her arm stands out. A good idea for stronger character design is setting something to a grayscale gradient and seeing what values stand out and which values are a little bit harder to see, which are a little bit easier to see, and stuff like that. It usually helps things to stand out more. Of course, that doesn't always have to apply to everything. For example, the bottom part of the dress is supposed to be a lot lighter. This is supposed to be a very light-colored character, so it's going to blend into the background. So this part of the dress doesn't immediately pop out at you when you see the character immediately. Only once you start to look at the details do you realize, oh, okay, there's little lumps here, but that's intentional. It's because it's supposed to be very light. Because the image that, when you look at her, due to the value of her dress being a lot lighter, your eye immediately goes up to her face, which is important. Don't mind my my bookmarks up there. Don't you go looking at them. They're for school. But yeah, so when you look at the character, your eyes are immediately drawn over to the face because that has the strongest colors. It's the darkest color, whereas the rest of her outfit is a lot lighter. So you immediately look over at her face, and then you see the candles up on top as a detail, because once you start to look at her face, that stands out next. And then you go, oh, little birthday candles, and then you get the character. You see her head, you see that her hair looks kind of like a cupcake with a candle in it, or a birthday cake, and then you immediately get it. And then, as you look closer at the drawing, that's when you notice there's even more detail, and you see the little sprinkles, and you see how her dress looks kind of like a cake, and cake frosting and everything. Because if you noticed the little spots first, like if the entire palette was similar to the color of her dress, and the first thing you noticed is the sprinkles, then you'd wonder why she has a whole pile of acne on her, or a pile of just random dots. But instead, that happens a lot later in the immediate look process, in the subconscious feeling when you see this character. You immediately look at her face, you see that she's happy, then you notice the candles, and then you see the rest of her outfit, and then as you look, you see, oh, it seems a little bit different here, and you look in a little closer, you can see the slightly lighter values, then you notice all of the additional little details. So the character is well designed. I think this is very good. Good job. That's your lesson in color theory and character design and everything. What I like to do when I make drawings, one of my philosophies, don't mind my twisted headphone wire. One of my philosophies when I design characters and draw stuff is I want people to be able to take in everything right away and then have additional other layers the more you look at it. But nothing too complex, because I feel like in terms of the average person who sees something, which is going to be the average, not everybody is going to look at your artwork in very intense detail. Not everybody is going to analyze every inch of the artwork to see that this is like a candy cane almost in varying colors, like a little lighter streak after drawing this in a darker color, so this way it would end up having a two-tone gradient over here, so it would go from one color to another, and that looks really cool. Not everybody is going to be analyzing art this intensely. People are just going to look over here, see a character, go, oh, cute, and then when they look a little bit longer, once they're captivated, then they notice, oh, there's birthday candle, there's extra sprinkles, it looks like it's dripping, and then that's the kind of thing that helps cement viewing a character. So I like to design characters and draw stuff similar to that sort of design philosophy, where you see something, you pick up on what it's about immediately, and then the longer you look, the more you realize details. But I don't like to have it where it's so detailed that you'll miss a whole lot of things. So the best way I can kind of describe this is I really like the art style of the Mario and Luigi RPG series, because they do basically what I want to do, where you see something that's mostly solid colors, pretty identifiable. You see something, you go, oh, okay, this is what the character looks like, and then the longer you look at it, the more you're able to pick up on certain details, but that's it. I don't like to over-design characters too much. I like to have a primary thing that you notice, and then a secondary thing that you notice. So, like, when you look at one of the Mario and Luigi RPG games, you notice, oh, hey, here's a cool-looking thing, and then the more you look into it, then you're able to pick up on other cool little details, without having to think super hard. So, like, your initial not really thinking too hard when you see a character, that pops out first, and it'll lead you into wanting to look into it more, which that's how you can take in more of something. You can't necessarily remember all of the details on a Skyrim character, because there's a lot to them, even though they're very pretty. But something like Mario, you can remember a lot more of the details about him. You remember the shape of his mustache, the fact that his hat has a little white on it, and then there's the little M. The overalls have the little buttons on them. Those are extra little things that you can remember from the character design. So I like to have something a little bit like one step over, where you notice one or two extra little details, because I feel like that helps to stick with people a little bit easier. And I'm not saying that that's how you should always character design, because I know that I can, and I have been able to do more detailed characters, but I just like to draw stuff a lot more simply because it's fun, and I like stuff that people can look at and immediately go, oh, I get this, and then if they look a little bit longer, they'll notice some extra details. I had actually been chosen in high school to draw the Christmas card one year, and I even got into the art show for the open house, which was really cool, another time, and a lot of people really liked the artwork that I had done, especially the very simplistic stuff that was similar to my art style here. We haven't even gotten to the coloring yet. I'm sorry. I just kind of feel like talking about this, but like, basically, this stuff was able to pop out. They were able to notice that, and then they went, cool, and then they looked a little bit longer, and then they were like, oh, wow, look at this extra little detail here, or oh, wow, look at that little thing. And a lot of people just do that when they look at something. So it's something I also kind of noticed, where I was watching, like, PewDiePie looking at stuff on Loi, and I mean, this is just something that I had noticed like a year or so back, but sometimes when people draw very, very detailed artwork, he'll look at it, he'll go, oh, hey, cool, look at this, oh, look at this extra detail, and then he'll move onward, even if it takes like a really long amount of time. But other drawings that were a lot simpler to understand, you'd be able to fully take in everything. And I feel like those drawings he would end up having even more to say. Because the other ones, it's just like, oh wow, the drawing is really cool, and then that's it. You kind of move on. And it's indicative of typical human nature when you see something and you see a design. That's another thing that's really strong about, I have over here, the Cookie Run character design. Because you notice the immediate design, oh look, she's a tennis player, that's cool. But then the longer you look, you realize her little head bandana is also orange leaves. Her hair is in the shape of orange slices. Her dress is an orange slice as well. And then you notice a few extra details to that after the initial look, and you can take in more about the character. You know, the immediate design, and then the secondary design, and then bam, that's it. That's all. That's what a lot of people take in, and that's why the character design is really strong that way. And I like this about this character, because it's slightly more detailed than that. Like, if I was drawing it, which is what I'm going to do here, I would just end up having a much more simple design. I wouldn't end up going into the extra detail, like adding some more drippiness to it. But that's one of the cool things about like having a whole bunch of different styles and trying out other things. So not all forms of abstraction are all going to be the same, because there's all kinds of different ways that you can draw things. So I'm going to be drawing now. It's been about 20 minutes or so. That's your art lesson. You know what? I kind of want to separate this into two videos. One where I just talk about color theory and art theory and my design process and her character here, and one where I actually sit and color in the character. So I'm going to make this a two-parter, actually. This is 2 parts now. I'm going to separate this. So thank you, friends. But I believe it's that time again. If you like what I do, don't be shy to give a thumbs up. Have a pleasant day, everyone. And this is Handington, signing off. Bye!